topic. Let me introduce myself. I am Arya. I have pursued my LLM from University of Kerala. And let's move to the topic. First of all, meaning and definition of person. And before that, let me uh, let me give an introduction. What is meant by person? In philosophical sense, it means the rational substratum of a human being. Rational substratum means the critical thinking ability of the human being. It's in only in philosophical sense. In the legal sense, it means rights and duties bearing units, which is the general definitions that's given the term person. In law, legal personality involves two questions. First one is to whom law recognizes as person, and secondly, what are the principles or theories upon which the recognition. And these two questions deals with through this topic. And coming to the slides, the term person has derived from the Latin word persona, which means those who are recognized by law as being capable of having legal rights and being bound by legal duties. That means any object or entities having any legal rights and they are bound by legal duties, and such entities is recognized as persons. In simple means or other words, simply the person has been defined as a person being of any age of any sex. In modern times, the person includes corporation, institutions, universities, etc., and such known as person in law or legal person. And one of the most important and desirable characteristics possessed by the legal person is they can sue or to be sued independently, and they exist in the eye of law. That's all about the meaning of the person. And moving to the definition of persons, uh, so many jurists defines various definitions among the term persons. And as a UGC aspirant, we have to recollect or remember plethora of definitions given by various Salmon regarding international laws, rights, duties, liabilities. So it's a Herculean task to remember all the definitions whom given by it, or the definition given by to whom. So we have some tricks or ideas, our own tricks or ideas to remember or recollect these definitions. And first one, I'm moving to the definitions, and the famous jurist Salmon gives a definition regarding legal person, such as legal person means any being or substances which entitled to rights and liable for duties. So Salmon means here I am remembering what in my trick. I remember that in all the Salmon definition we go through this, he always speaks about the entitled to rights and liability, rights and duties. In all of his definition, we go through his definition. We can find out that he always speaks out about rights and liable for duties. So we can recollect that, we can connect that Salmon definition with rights and liability duties. And next one, Gray. Gray gives a definition that a person is an entity to which rights and duties may be attributed. And according to Savigny, the term person means as the subject of bearer of right. And then moving to the Holland definition, he defines that rights not only reside in but are also available against person. These are persons of incidence as well as inherence. Incidence means that's underlying feature, that rights and liabilities are that's a person's underlying characteristics. That's given by Holland. And according to Kelson, the totality of rights and duties is the personality, and there is no entity distinct from them. And the Kelson, it must be noted that the definition of Kelson is previous Kelson, and this definition asked by the previous year question paper. So there is, according to Kelson, there is no entity distinct that the rights and duties of the legal person from the there is no distinction between the rights and duties of the person. And according to Pattern, legal personality is a medium through which some such units are created to whom rights can be vested. These are very few jurists give. Here I mentioned very few jurist definitions, and you can further find out another definitions given by some other jurists. And moving to the next slide, that's types of person. It's a just basic classification. That means person can be classified as two: natural persons and legal persons. These classifications we are all aware about this. And natural person can be classified into two, that's unborn person and living person. And the legal person can be classified into corporate soul and corporate aggregate. And moving to next slide, that's natural persons. Natural person, it simply means a human being. It's simple definition, a human being. And according to the view of law, a human being possessing legal personality is called natural person. And here the famous jurist Holland gives a definition. And according to him, a person must the characteristics feature of a person, and he must possess some qualification. That is, he must be a living he must be in living person, or he has not be a master, and he or she must be born alive to be ranked as a personal law. And a child in the mother's womb is also considered as a legal person to some extent, and this is deals with the further slides. And as we told earlier, a person generally a person, that is a human being, the desirable qualification of the human being, or the desirable quality that possessed by a human being, is to be capacity to independently capacity to sue and be sued. And in Indian Contract coming to Indian Contract Act, Section 11 also defines what is a person. And person means must be a major, and must be of sound mind, and must not be disqualified by law or to be law to sue or to be sued. And it's to be noted that all natural persons are not legal person. The lunatic, minors, idiots, or dead persons are not considered to be as a legal person. This is because in ancient time, the Hindu law disqualifies some persons, and the persons having disabilities such as blind, deaf, dumb, or insane person, or have lost sense or lost of limbs. And then the and moreover, and coming to the modern era, the lunatic and infants have only a restricted legal personality. So it must be noted all natural persons are not legal person. And it's to be said that the legal personality granted to a human being begins with birth and ends with his death. But in modern view, in modern point of view, the viewpoint has been changed, that we discussed in the upcoming slides. And next one is artificial or legal person. And simply artificial or legal person means other than a natural being. And the legal persons are created by law only, and which they are treated for the purpose of human being. An example: idol, company, or corporation. And next one is legal status of an unborn person. Here, unborn person means who is not in existence, and the legal status of an unborn person is recognized to some extent. In India, a child in mother's womb is demanded to the existence under Hindu law only for the purpose of acquisition of property and acquisition subject to the law against the properties, which means a child in mother's womb is as good as a child in existence. If he is born alive, he will have a legal status. And the unborn child has a contingent right, and for that, the child must be born as a live human being. If the child is born dead, the legal personality falls away ab initio, which means if a if an unborn person has the right to acquire the property, he must satisfy one condition, that he must be born alive. Otherwise, if he must be born dead, then legal personality falls away ab initio. And if the child dies in the mother's womb or is stillborn, his inheritance falls, but he gets all the rights even if he alive for an hour after the birth lovers. Which means, that if a unborn child, he's died in mother's womb or is stillborn, his inheritance fails, as we discussed earlier. But if he born alive and death after 1 hour, then he then the he can acquire all the rights. That and This was the modern point of view. And moreover, some statutes and laws always confers legal status of an unborn person. That is, according to section 315 of the IPC, infliction of a prenatal injury on a child causing child destruction, it's an offense punishable with imprisonment for 10 years and fine or both. And chapter 16 of the IPC contains section 312 to 317 of the offense deals with offense relating to the causing of miscarriage and injuries to unborn child or exposure of infants and concealment of birth. And moving to the next code, that is next statute, CRPC. According to section 416 of the CRPC, if a woman sentenced to death is found to be pregnant, the High Court shall order the execution of the death sentence to be postponed or commute the sentence to imprisonment for life. Here, the law confer the legal status of the unborn persons. And moving to next slide, that is position in law of tort. Here, the position of the legal person has not been in position in law of tort. Here, there is no cases arises regarding the conflict of legal personality or upheld the validity of the legal personality of the unborn child in India and England. But there is two cases I quoted. In one is Irish case and another is Canadian case. In first one is Walker versus GN Railway Company 1891 case. It's an Irish case, and here the legal status of an unborn person not recognized the suit, not recognized by the court. And the fact of this case is very funny, and I briefly explained the fact that here the plaintiff is a minor who sued the defendant on the ground that he was born crippled and deformed. As a result, due to the accident, due to the negligence of the defendant, when his mother was pregnant, when his pregnant mother was traveling in defendant's railway, so the defendants were held not liable. And coming to the next case, Montreal Tramways Corporation versus Lively. Here, the earlier case verdict was overruled, and here the Supreme Court of Canada allowed and recognized the legal personality of the unborn person. And this is the same fact of the same fact as that of Walker versus GN Railway Company. And the fact of the case is, here although the plaintiff was also a minor and was born with a club feet 2 months after an injury caused to the pregnant mother due to a negligence of the defendant. Here the Supreme Court of Canada recognized the legal status of unborn person and awarded damages. And Article 906 of the French Civil Code permits transfer of property in favor of an unborn child. In Indian judicial system, under pure Hindu law, a gift or bequest is in favor of an unborn person was void. But now, According to the Transfer of Property Act, the transfer of property in favor of an unborn person is valid subject to Section 13 of the TP Act. This will dealt with the case Girijesh Dutt versus Dattadi, and you may go through the fact of this case, and you can get more information about that. And next is the England in England Congenital Disability Civil Liability Act 1976. The here here also the Disability Civil Liability Act also confers the li- legal status of an unborn person, and uh, then it gives some gives some features for an action by minor is maintainable, and the provided features that the child is born alive and disabled, and the child is alive for less than 48 hours after birth. And third one is an action is permitted even against a negligent mother, and fourth one, contributing negligence can be pleaded as a defense. It must be noted, it must I quoted this I mentioned this only for the sake of further information. And moving to the next topic, that is legal status of dead man or dead person. According to Salmond, Salmond says that the personality of a human being may be said to commence with his birth and cease with his death. As a general rule, the dead man is not a legal person. As in our legal point of view, that person cannot confer any legal status. But some for purposes, he can be confer some legal rights as such here as related with his body, reputation, and his estate. And we shall look one by one. First of all, his interest towards this body, which means that he has a right, which means he has a right to decent funeral and good burial. Its violation amounts to criminal offense. That means every person who born in who born in the earth and death has a decent burial and a good burial and a decent funeral. Any violation is amounts to criminal offense. This may be held in case Adhikar uh, Adhikar Abhiyan versus Union of India and others 2002 case. The court held that even a homeless person when found dead on the road has a right of a decent burial or cremation as per his religious faith. And moving to the second point, that's the dead person's interest over his reputation. Here, and the maxim de mortius nili nisi bonum, which means dead person have no rights and can suffer no wrongs, which plays an important role. And that means everyone is interested in maintaining reputation even after the death. The reputation of the dead is protected under the criminal law of defamation. That is, anything published or any amputation which leads to defamation to harm the deceased person's reputation or his nearest relative's reputation, which would harm to the which would attract the legal punishment. And third one is his interest in property. That means whenever a person dies in the state, the property is distributed according to his will. And next one is legal status of an animal. According to the law, an animal is not a person. That means either natural or legal. It merely a thing or of an object. And but in some instance, we give the law gives animal animals we law gives animals to possess legal right, and such a conditions is first one is cruelty to animals, and which is a criminal offense, and second one is a trust for the benefit of particular classes of animals is valid and enforceable as public and charitable trust. In Jemina Bhai versus Kiranji and Letla versus Brahmanand 1930 1913 case was and these cases dealt with this, and you can refer through this case. Here, the famous jurist Salmon also said that animals are mere object of legal right and duties, but never subject of them. And moving to the next slide, that's legal status of an idol. Here in India, an idol is recognized as a legal person. Here, a plethora of case which deals with the legal status of an idol, and I'm mentioned just 7 or 8 cases here, and just we look at each of the cases. First one is Dakor Temple case. It's 1926 case. Here, the Bombay High Court held that Hindu idol is a judicial subject, and the pious idea that is embodies is given the status of a legal person. And here the case, here the High Court held that, which means legal person possessing a judicial subject. The idol possesses a judicial subject and pious idea. So legal status can be conferred. And next case is Vidyavarthi Tirtha versus Baluswami Iyer. It's 1922 case, and under this it's the High Court held that under the Hindu law, the image of deity is a juristic entity vested with the capacity of receiving gift and holding the property. Here, the court held that as a the image of deity or idol only is a juristic entity, and only the right vested upon them are receiving gifts and holding the property only. And next case is Yogendranath Naskar versus Commissioner of Income Tax. It's 1969 case, and here the Supreme Court held that it is not all idols that will qualify for being juristic person, but only when it is consecrated and installed at a public place for the public at large. Which means that all the ideals, all the idol cannot all the idol cannot be treated as a legal person, and only those idols which are situated and installed at a public place for the sake of public, then then such idols only considered as legal persons. And also further had said that an idol is a juristic person and tax may be imposed, which means and which means a legal person, that is a company or corporation, can be treated as a legal person. Similar ways or like that, a idol can be treated as a legal person. So in order to treat it as legal person, they possess some rights and duties. So the government can may impose tax on them. And next one is Ayodhya case 2010. Here I'm not mentioning the correct citation of Ayodhya case, because 8 decades ago the Ayodhya case was taken place, and so many interlocutory applications, especially petitions, are petitions for seeking remedies as time being in force has been filed in the High Courts, sorry, Supreme Court. Hence, I refer the 2010 IA regarding Ayodhya case, which dealt with the which dealt with the status of legal persons. And moving to that case, an Ayodhya case 2010, the Justice D.V. Sharma said that as in the case of minor or guardian is appointed, so in the case of ideal, a Sheshabit or manager is appointed to act its behalf, which means that an ideal is a juristic person, and in the eye of law, its position can be treated as a minor, and the pujari or priest, Sheshabit means a tandri or pujari, and he has been act as a guardian. That's dealt in Ayodhya case 2010. And next one is Sabarimala case, that's Indian Young Lawyers Association and others versus the state of Kerala 2019 case. And we all are we are all familiar with the fact of this case. And here I'm not intentionally here I'm not intentionally hurting anybody's religious faith. If so, please forgive me. And here one of the argument present in the court that the restriction of allowing the entry of women in the premises of the Shabarimala, which violates the rights of privacy of the Lord Ayyappa, who is eternally the celibate. But the Supreme Court held that merely because a deity has been granted limited rights as juristic person under statutory law does not mean that deity necessarily has constitutional rights, which means that an idol can be considered as a legal person. If a legal person, the legal person possesses some rights and duties, but a legal person cannot be treated as a human being, so constitutional rights cannot be granted to him. That was the viewpoint about the status of the idol, legal status of the idol in Shabarimala case. And next is Pramadanath Mullik versus Pradyumna Kumar Mullik. That's 1925 case. And the Privy Council held that the idol is a juristic person and uh, its will as to its location must be duly respected, which means that the not only uh, if the law confers law confers a legal status to an idol, then not only he must be protected, but the location must be, not only he must be respected, but where he is situated and the location must be duly respected. And coming to the next case, Ayodhya case 2019. It was 2019 IA that another verdict was given by the Supreme Court that God, which is that God or Supreme Being may be omnipresent or omniscient or omnipotent, but has no juristic personality. But an idol worshipped by believers as a physical incarnation of God and is a juristic personality. Here, there is a conflict between the legal stat there here the question arises that the conflict between the conflict of legal status between the idol and the god. And here the Supreme Court held that god can be seen everywhere. That means god can be present everywhere, but but without any particular physical structure or etc, so we cannot see by our naked eyes. But as in the case of idol, it is a physical incarnation of God. So idol can be treated as a legal person, but God cannot be treated as a legal person. That was the another verdict given by Ayodhya case. And moving to the next slide, that is legal status of mosque. In earlier, the mosque can be considered as a legal person, but uh, but in modern viewpoint, the legal status of the mosque cannot be considered as a legal person. And here I noted two cases. That is first one, Maula Bucks was Hafizuddin case, that is 1926 case. Here the mosque is here the court held that the mosque is a legal person. And moving to the next case, that's Masjid Shahid Ganji Mosque versus Shiromani Gurudwara Prabandha case, 1938 case. The Maula Bucks versus Hafizuddin cases rule was overruled here, and the court declared that a mosque is not to be a legal person because it may not sue or to be sued independently. And now the present position is that the court cannot be considered. Sorry, the mosque cannot be considered as a juristic person because it's a place where people together to worship. It's not an object of worship itself. It's neither has a church. So the present position is that the legal status of the mosque cannot the legal status of a mosque is not a legal person. And next, moving to the topic, that is legal status of Guru Granda Sahib. And here so many cases are uh, so many cases are so many cases which are deals with the legal status of the Guru Grantha Sahib. Guru Grantha Sahib is a sacred book of uh, six six community. Here I mentioned only one case. It is a very important case. That is Shiromani Gurudwara Prabandha Committee versus Somadas and others, 2000 case. Here the Supreme Court held that Guru Grantha Sahib cannot be equated with other sacred books. It is reversed like a guru, and it is the very heart and spirit of Gurudwara. The reverence of Guru's Grantha on one hand sacred books and on the other hand is based on different conceptual faith, belief and applications. And which means The Guru Grantha Sahib not only a sacred books, not only a sacred book like Holy Quran, my Bible, Bhagavad Gita, Vedas, Upanishad, etc. It can be treated as a spirit, heart and spirit of the Gurudwara, and it's not only the sacred books, but also confers different conceptual faith, belief, and applications. So it can be treated as a legal person. And the court clarified that every Guru Grantha Sahib cannot be treated as a juristic person unless it takes juristic role through its installation in a Gurudwara or at such other recognized public place, which means that every Guru Grantha Sahib cannot be treated as a legal person. If a Guru Grantha Sahib can be treated as a legal person or juristic person, it must be installed in a Gurudwara or must be installed in a recognized public place. Then only it can be, the Guru Grantha Sahib can be considered as a legal person. And moving to the next slide, that is legal status of corporation. A corporation or a company is an artificial person created by law and having perpetual succession, common seal, and independently be sued and be sued. And the idea of the corporate legal personality can be traced in ancient Roman and ancient Hindu law. Here, the corporation can be classified into two, that is corporation sole and corporation aggregate. The corporation sole means it's an incorporation. First one is corporation sole, which means that it's an incorporated series of a successive person, and the main purpose is the continuity of an offices, and it is perpetual in nature. Example: Postmaster General, Public Trustee, Controller and Auditor General, President of India, Crown of England, etc. That means when according to the corporation soul, the corporation soul means the corporation soul means a single person, and it is a actually it is a it's a legal position, and when the legal position is continuing, but the person who came and holding that position may change. For example, the president of, in the case of the president of India, the position that the president of India is the position that's remaining still in the constitution and in real life, but the person who came and taking the charge of a president of India may be changed by time to time, but still the position is continuing. That is the main essence of corporation soul. And here the Salmon gives that living persons comes and goes, but the creation corporate soul of law always exists. And next, the corporation aggregate. And corporation aggregate means is an association of human beings united for the purpose of forwarding their certain interests. For example, limited companies and a fund dedicated for a special purpose, that is trust or charitable fund or legal person, as are can be considered as corporate aggregate. And now a corporation can be created by a royal charter or by some special statute or by registration under the Companies Act. Most popular method of creating a corporation is by registering under the Companies Act. And it is to be noted that the Union of India is a legal person as per section 79 of the CPC, Code of Civil Procedure Code, and Article 300 of the Indian Constitution. And at the same time, the government of India is not a legal person. And maybe a question asked from the area in the UGC net exam, that is a series of list of persons, a series of list of persons mentioning A, B, and C options, and we have to find out which is what following are from the following options which is not the legal person or which is the legal person. We have to find out. So this is we have to remember that Union of India is a legal person. At the same time, Government of India is not a legal person. And here I mentioned two cases that deals with the legal personality of corporation aggregate. And first one is Tata Engineering and Locomotive Corporation Limited versus State of Bihar. It's a 1965 case. Here the Supreme Court held that the corporation in law is equal to the natural person and he has a legal entity to its own, and it is entirely separate from that of its shareholders, and its assets are separate from those of its shareholders. And here the Supreme Court held that the natural person, the right of a natural person is equal to that of a legal entity, and because the corporate aggregate have its own legal entity and it's have its own shares, and that must be separated from the shareholders. And next one is Daleman Corporation Limited versus Continental Tire and Rubber Company. It is 1916 cases, and here in this case, for the court held that for determining the real character and the status of the company, the court may ignore its separate entity and lift the corporate veil. Corporate veil is the corporate veil means looking behind the corporate entity and take actions wherever there is an uh, violation occurs, and that's about corporation aggregate. And moves to the concluding topic, that is the theories of legal personality. Here the legal personality which I mentioned, that only mention which only indicates or mention corporate legal personality. And there are six theories which deals with the legal personality of the corporation, that is fiction theory, concession theory, realistic theory, bracket theory, purpose theory, and Hoffer's theory. And first one is fiction theory. The main exponents of fiction theories are Salmon and Savigny. According to them, corporation is a fiction of law. So the only human beings are properly called persons, which means that it is a popular in nature. And according to this theory, juristic person has only a fiction will. It must be noted that juristic person have only a fiction will, and it cannot be commit crime. And the main defect of the case is, the theory main defect of the theory is it only exists in the eye of law. And the Solomon versus Solomon and Company clearly mention. We go through Solomon and Company. Clear. We we have to get a clear idea about this theory. And next, second one is concession theory. The main followers of the concession theory are Salmon, Savigny, and Dicey. And a concession theory, according to this concession theory, a concession given to a group or body of individual by law to act as one body or a single body. Here, the law, which means the state, that is, the law is the exclusive source of the source or authority, and which confers juristic personality, which means the law is the exclusive authority who having a juristic personality. The creation of juristic personality absolutely at the discretion of the state. That's held in concession theory. And move to the next, realistic theory. The Gyarke is the chief exponent of the realistic theory, and it is also termed as organic theory. You must be noted that the realistic theory is also called organic theory. And according to this theory, or according to him, the corporation is a real but mysterious entity. That means a corporation has possessed a real character as such as natural persons. That is, a group having a real will, real mind, and real power of action, and own assets and own liabilities, and own goodwill and reputation. And next one is bracket theory. It's also known as symbolized theory, and the chief exponent of this theory is Ihering. And according to this theory, company is an aggregate of individual bracketed together as a whole, treated as a single person. That means the juristic personality is only a symbol. Here, in bracket theory, it's told that juristic personality is only a symbol which helps in effectuating the interest or the purpose of the group. That's about the bracket theory. That's main crux of the bracket theory. And moving to the next slide, that is purpose theory. The main exponents of the purpose theory are Brinks and Becker. And according to this theory, personality is only enjoyed by human beings, and juristic persons are no person at all. And then the Hoffman developed this theory in England. Here, this theory has no application in India and England, because the judges have again and again re-established that corporation is a legal corporation has a corporation is legal person, and it possesses legal personality. And final theory is Hoffer's theory, and Hoffer's is the chief exponent chief exponent, and his theory is closely related with the bracket theory, and he tried to draw a distinction between human being and juristic person. According to him, only human beings have claims, rights and duties, powers and responsibilities, etc., and the corporate person is merely a procedural form. And it's all about the uh, theories of corporate legal personality. Then these are the reference which I have, which I go through this. And first one, VD Mahajan jurisprudence legal theory, and then two articles that's taken from the legalserviceindia.com. And first one is legal personality in the light of jurisprudence by Muhammad Aqib Aslam, and second one is meaning and kind of person, Manish Rajan, and fourth one is a Times of India article, and that is God is not a juristic person. It's in 2019, that's related with the Ayodhya case verdict in 2019. You can go through these articles for further details. And let's move to the multiple choice questions. And first one is previous year questions. That is, who among the following said that there is an essence or no differences between the legal personality of a company and that of an individual? Mainland, Dicey, Gierke, and Kelson. And which we have dealt in first third slide, that is Kelson. Kelson said that there is no and there is no means for separating rights and duties from a legal person. So first one answer is Kelson. And then second question is, in jurisprudence, bracket theory is related with A, fundamental duties, option B, legal personality, C, ratio decidendi, D, position. And answer is B, legal personality. And third question is, who said that an unborn child has no legal entity because it is rightless? The first one, Austin. Second option is Patton. Third one is Gray, and fourth one is Salmon. Now, correct answer is Patton. And fourth question, Salomon versus Salomon and Corporation Limited is a leading case on first one, a corporate morality, B, corporate conspiracy, C, corporate personality, and option D, corporate financing. The answer is corporate personality. And fifth one is, which of the following is not a legal person? Ideal, option B, company, option C, Guru Granda Sahib, option D, none of the above. Here, we must notice that which of the following is not a legal person. Asking a question, not a legal person. So none of the above is the answer. And final question is, an idol of Lord Krishna is a temple. Is a first one, natural person, B, legal person, C, not a legal person in the eye of law because only the priest of the temple may be legal person, and D, not a person because no personality can be conferred. It's here the options are little confusing, but we should answer the B is the correct answer. And thank you thank you for your patient listening. Thank you all.
Compensation for certain laws is concerned. See here, what is the perspective from which we look at corrective justice? Of course, that is a concept of corrective justice, but not from this perspective.